There's an attitude sometimes in companies that we're going to take care of you from the womb to the tomb. And that was maybe in the Industrial Revolution, that was valid. In the age of the fast pace of how things are changing, it's really not the environment that we live in anymore. I like to think that there's always going to be, there's what we expect and there's what we experience. And in a perfect world, what we expect and what we experience will be the same.
I don't think my world's perfect.
Yeah, but none of us live in a perfect world. So in relationship, I'll use the example of my wife and I. She has certain expectations, and then she has certain experiences that she experiences with me. And sometimes there is a gap. So for instance, she says, I tell her at the beginning of the day, hey, I'll be home at 6 o'clock for dinner. And so that's her expectation, that Jeff is going to be home at 6. So she's working to prepare a meal for us. And then at 6 o'clock comes and goes, and I'm not home yet. Right? So she has a choice because her experience is not meeting with what her expectation was. So there's a gap. So what is she going to fill the gap with? Right? I mean, that's really the question in every relationship. What are we going to fill the gap with? Right? When the expectation and the experience don't line up and there's a gap, what are we going to fill that gap with? Right? And there's really only one of two things that we can fill the gap with. Right? We can either believe the best,
Yep,
or we can assume the worst. So in that scenario, what believing the best looks like is, I know he would have called if he could. I know he values our time together. I know he values the fact that I've been preparing this. Something had to come up. She believes the best. What assuming the worst looks like is, well, he never values me. I mean, he's always late. He's prioritizing somebody else in his work schedule over me. See, that's assuming the worst. And so what the guardrail of results, the mindset of staying in a results economy, a results mindset, what that guardrail does for me, it helps me in my relationships to fill the gap with believing the best.
I like that.
Right?
Yep.
It's a whole way of living that I'm not living with an entitlement. I'm not expecting something. I'm creating value and I'm believing the best rather than assuming the worst.